One really important thing that good readers have the ability to do is identify their thought processes as they go through read. Most of us are probably pretty decent at the basic comprehension skills that we need to negotiate our comprehension-based reading tests and whatnot. But one thing that we may be missing, and one thing that we could definitely be better at and improve at, is verbalizing our thought processes in order to help get a better and concrete understanding of things. With that in mind, I want to teach you today about Think-Alouds. Think-Alouds is just like it sounds. I'm going to express my thoughts and turn them into words as I read through something. The biggest thing to Think-Alouds is allowing yourself to slow down and identify good places to stop. Really, the best places to stop are the places where it feels natural to you. That may be at punctuation, or if something really causes you to pause and take thought in the middle of a sentence, then stop there and make note of that. Okay. So what I'll do in this is I'll go ahead and read through this poem, briefly stopping, when I find something interesting or worthy of note or comment. So that's it. This is the poem Litany by Billy Collins. Billy Collins is the poet laureate of America at one point, so he's a very well-respected poet, incredible writer, very funny, and writes some very humorous things. All right, so Litany by Billy Collins. You are the bread and the knife, the crystal goblet and the wine. Now, I don't know why, but whenever I read poetry and I get these "you are" type of things, it reminds me of Shakespearean love sonnets, where he's comparing his lover's eyes to the sun or any other number of things. So I'm wondering right now, is this going to be a love poem? It's interesting, though, to take note that I've never heard anybody compared to bread and knife, nor goblet and wine, and I wonder if that's a flattering thing, or I'm not really sure what to think of that, to be honest with you. You are the dew on the morning grass. Well, that's kind of pleasant. I can think that's all right. And the burning will of the sun. Interesting. You are the white apron of the baker. Yeah, I don't know if I get that quite sure what they're trying to get at. I guess, to me it almost seems like some of these are not necessarily sincere. The white apron of the baker, I'm not sure what the purpose is there. And the marsh bird suddenly in flight. However, now I know just from reading and being, experienced with reading, that whenever I get a however, that there's something going on here. So however, you are not the wind in the orchard, the plums on the counter, or the house of cards. I'm starting to wonder whether this is serious or whether this is done with a satirical touch to it, just because of the choices that he's using in his metaphors, as well as just the tone. And the however. You don't usually get a however in the middle of a love poem. You don't get I love you, I love you, I love you, but poem. So maybe there's some satire going on here. And you are certainly not the pine-scented air. There is just no way that you are the pine-scented air. I can't imagine hearing that phrase, just no way, that we're looking at a love poem. I think I've caught on to this. There should be some satire going on the rest of the way, because it's clearly playing fun at some of these overstated love metaphors that are often tossed out there. It is possible that you are the fish under the bridge, maybe even the pigeon on the general's head. Well, that's out of left field, that's for sure. That's kind of weird. But you are not even close to being the field of cornflowers at dusk. Interesting. Once again, I don't quite know. I could picture a field of cornflowers at dusk, but I don't see the romance here. And if I look at what they're doing, I'm assuming that this is still continued satire. And a quick look in the mirror will show that you are neither the boots in the corner nor the boat asleep in the boathouse. Now, I'm not sure whether this is a comment on the looks of the subject of this poem or whether this is just a satirical show. Again, if it is, it's awfully rude. I don't know why the boots are in the corner or the boat in its boathouse are so attractive, but apparently this person doesn't live up to either of those standards. It might interest you to know, speaking of the plentiful imagery of the world. Okay, well, it might interest you to know, speaking of the plentiful imagery of the world, I can feel the tone a little bit, and there's definitely a lot of satire going on right here. that I am the sound of rain on the roof. I also happen to be the shooting star. So now the authors delved into talking about themselves in hyperbolic metaphors. The evening paper blowing down an alley, and the basket of chestnuts on the kitchen table. I am also the moon in the trees, and the blind woman's teacup. All right, I'm not sure what that means. Everything else was kind of interesting until he became the blind woman's teacup, but interesting. Oh, but don't worry. I'm not the bread and the knife. You are still the bread and the knife. You will always be the bread and the knife. Not to mention the crystal goblet. And, somehow, the wine. All right, very interesting last stanza there. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but you will always be the bread and the knife. So if this is a straightforward poem, I don't know whether he's putting somebody in the friend zone here and making them the bread and the knife. I mean, kind of a utilitarian thing where it's, useful and good, but realistically not all that awesome. I mean, he didn't make them the steak or the something with a little bit more appeal to it. Instead, he just simply made him the bread and the knife. But if it's satirical, then I think there's a funny feeling about this, in the interesting way that we tend to express ourselves in metaphors that are not always all that accurate, nor all that clear in what they mean and why they're so important. Maybe this is a comment on the overvaluing of the metaphor in the English language. So that's a possible way to look at it. All right. Best of luck. You're going to go ahead and have a chance to execute kind of the same think aloud process. You'll do that on the poem by Shel Silverstein, Someone Ate the Baby. If you will go ahead and make a T-chart, just tracking basically where you stopped. On the left side of the T-chart, go ahead and write down the word that you stopped on. And then on the right-hand side of the T-chart, go ahead and just fill out your thoughts. Okay, I need you to have at least 3 thoughts filled out in that notebook, and that should get you full points. Thank you.